All right, this is an 8th grade, Module 4, Lesson 15 tutorial on slope of a non-vertical line. Non-vertical just means it's slanted. Vertical means it's like straight up. So what we're going to do is we're going to find the rise and run from 2 points on a line, also known as the slope. Okay, so we're going to look here. I'm going to bring this up just a little bit. We're going to look here at graph A and graph B. And we're going to find what is the rise and the run. So rise obviously means we're going up. Run means we're running sideways. Okay, so we have a couple dots here. I like how they land perfectly on the square of a point on this graph. All right, you're not trying to pick something that's like here because that's fractional. Now, your rise is going to be how much you go up, and your run is going to be how much did you go over. So we're going to go up. How many boxes? 1, 2. We went up 2 boxes, or you can think of we went from -1 to +1, so that's an increase of 2. And then we ran 3 boxes. 1, 2, 3, or you can say we went from -2 to +1, which is an increase of 3. And that's your slope. Your slope would be your rise over your run, which would be 2 over 3. Now let's try this one here. We have 2 dots here on this graph. Let's go ahead and calculate our rise. So we're going to go all the way up. And what you do is you go all the way up to where you're level with that next dot. So how many boxes did you increase by? 1, 2, 3, 4. Or you can say you went from -1 to 3, which is an increase of +4. And you ran over 1, 2, 3 boxes, or from -2 to +1. So your rise over your run, and that's your slope. So which graph is steeper? Steeper means that you have a higher incline. So if you were thinking of like going skiing, which slope would you probably want to ski down? If you were a real adrenaline person and wanted that super fast speed, you would most likely pick graph B because the graph is a lot steeper than this one. You would still probably have some fun on graph A, of course, but there you go. So we're just going to put graph B. Now, we're going to write some directions, and this will kind of help us to understand how we're finding slope and what we're looking for. So our directions look like this. It says, how did we move from one point to the next on both these graphs? So with graph A, we went to the right 3 units and 2 units up. Now you could put the rise and then the run first. It doesn't matter. Either one. I can do that here for graph B just to show you. It doesn't matter how you write your directions. They can be flip-flopped. So we could say here we went up 4 units and to the right 3 units. Now each box on a graph paper is called a unit. So we don't say boxes. I said that just to kind of get us warmed up, but the correct terminology would be units. Now it says write the directions from part A as ratios and then compare the ratios. So we kind of did that up in the graph while we were working, but we're going to go ahead and put it down here. Graph A was 2 over 3. Our rise was 2, our run was 3. And then for graph B, we had 4 over 3. So we're going to compare these. You have 2 to 3 versus 4 to 3. Which is larger? The easiest way to look at this and what kind of gives it away is I have an improper fraction here. Now these are ratios, so we can't really consider it like a fraction. Like I'm not going to simplify this down into 1 1/3. I'm going to keep it 4 over 3. But since I have a larger number on top and a smaller number on bottom, it automatically makes it the bigger one. So you use your greater than symbol, indicating that 4/3 is the greater ratio. Okay, Let's go ahead and move on to the next graphs. Again, we're going to kind of repeat what we did earlier. We have a dot here and a dot here. We're going to rise. And there we go. How far did I go? 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm going to run, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now again, you could be seeing that you went from -5 to +1, which is an increase of 4. And then here I went from -4 to +1, which is an increase of 5. All right, I'm going to have you go ahead and do graph B on your own. And then we're going to answer this question here. Which one is steeper? Now this one's a little bit easier to see. Right away, we can all say that graph A is going to be steeper. Now we're going to write our directions. So I'm going to move this up. So for graph A, our directions went like this. We went up 4 units, and then we went to the right 5 units. Now students always ask, Ms. Geifert, what do we do if we need to go down, not up? Then that's fine. You would say that you went down 4 units, okay? And most of the time we would say a negative here if it gets into the negatives. And we went to the left. We could also say we went to the left. And those are usually indicating that we have negative slopes. Now graph B, as you probably found, you went up 1 unit, so a very small rise, and you went to the right 12 units, so a large run but a small rise. And again, we're going to go ahead and compare. So I'm actually going to let you go ahead and do number C, or letter C, I should say. All right. Now, as you can see, we are going to continue with this theme. So we have pair 2 and pair 3 on these next 2 pages. And we have pair 4 on our last couple pages. So I'm going to let you do all of these on your own. We are doing exactly the same thing every single time here. So I don't think you need much more of the tutorial for these. But I am going to move this up just so you can see that here's your last pair that you'll be comparing, pair 4, and same questions every single time. And then you come to these exercises. Now these exercises here want to know what's the slope. Now it's kind of hard to see because you have 3 letters here. If you notice, you have a P and an R. Those are your 2 letters for the line of the slope. And then they added this letter over here, Q. So I just wanted to kind of explain what Q is. Q is the distance that lines up from here and lines up here. It's where they 2 kind of come together. So they kind of did your connection here with your rise and the connection here with the run. So we rose 4 units and we ran 1 unit. And so this one we would say our slope is 4 to 1, but anything over 1, you can just go ahead and say your slope is 4. Now, as we formally get into slope, we're going to call that m. M is always the variable that we use to represent slope. So you can just say m is 4 here. All right, you're going to do number 2 right below here. And I'm going to keep going here to number 3. Number 3 wants to know which one was steeper from exercises 1. So you're going to look at the 2 pairs and see which one was steeper. All right. And then you're going to continue on, as you can see here, finding your slopes. Now, again, don't let that cue throw you off. Okay. If you don't need it, that's fine. It's just kind of helping you to give you some direction. So that's 4, 5, and 6 are all like that. So that ends our tutorial. So the rest of this worksheet I will be grading, which is all just repetitive rise and run. So this ends our tutorial.